Hey everyone, it's Joric. Welcome back. I hope you're doing great wherever you are in the world. If you're going to be traveling to Lisbon, Portugal, or if you're going to be moving and living there, there's a part of the downtown area I want you to be aware of that just in reading news articles and continuing to watch Portuguese news channels, there's more crime that's now being reported, more police action that the police are reporting that are taking place in a particular area. And I want to show you, I want to go to the map. So here is Lisbon, and it's a high tourist area that I'm going to be speaking about. So as you can see here, as I'm pulling up the kind of Google Earth images, you can see Rocio Square, which is a main square that you're going to visit if you have a day trip or spending a few days in Lisbon. And probably the number one attraction that you're going to get to is Tram 28. And I'll show that here quickly. Right next to Tram 28 is Hotel Mundial, and that's a place that many tourists book and stay at because it's centrally located. From there you can walk to virtually everything in Lisbon other than maybe Belém, Gerono's Monastery, and Monument to the Discoveries, and Belém Tower, probably an Uber ride or a tuk-tuk ride away. But I wanted to discuss this area because there have been an uptick in reading the newspapers on police activity, whereas I'm showing different parts of these neighborhoods where there are more homeless people. There are more immigrants that are there that don't have jobs, that may be homeless or may be asking for money. This is an area that it's an interesting area to me because sometimes during the day, if you're a tourist, if you get asked, would you want some drugs? Chances are they're not drugs. It's oregano and other things, but it's not real drugs. But I'm showing you here a couple of areas. So you can see Tram 28, and you can actually see from this Google Earth view kind of the queue that people are waiting in for trams. Just behind that, so where people queue up, in the streets behind that is where there are more real drug activity taking place, and during the day and especially in the evening. So if you are doing Tram 28 and you are staying somewhere in the Alfama or you're going through the Alfama, it's an area where most likely you'll be asked about drugs, and if you want drugs, and they'll be real drugs, not oregano. There's also more people that, from an assault standpoint, and this again, the police information, more things are taking place there, not just with tourists, but with locals, immigrants. It happens to be a place where it just seems like there's a high percentage of immigrants that come in to this part of Portugal and this part of Lisbon, and make it just a little bit sketchier than other places. And then I'm going to go back to Hotel Mundial really quick so you can show you where the location is. And then just north of that, so north of Rocio Square and north of the Hotel Mundial is an area here that there are still Portuguese that live there. It's older generations. If you walk these streets during the day, you'll see, a lot of pensioners that are left. When they're gone, I don't know that there'll be Portuguese moving in. It will be people, those of us from other countries, that'll probably be taking over because we're already from other countries renting out the apartments or buying the apartment space that's here. But it's interesting to go through and walk in 2017, our first trip to Lisbon, and walk these streets, these exact back streets, and no issues, felt comfortable, no problem, no propositions, no homeless people. Even at night, we were walking and we didn't feel uncomfortable. Now, years later, people are reporting, and the police are reporting, they're spending more time there and more people are getting assaulted. There are more issues that are happening. So I would say if you're going to stay someplace, I wouldn't necessarily stay at a hotel near this Moniz. And if you look up, and if you're saying, well, I'm being biased or I'm anti-immigrant, I'm not. If you just type in Portugal crime Moniz, or if you're looking up police information on the types of crime that they're arresting people or are being called on, this particular area that I'm discussing gets a high percentage of calls and action compared to much of the rest of central, or I'll say the city center of Lisbon. There are a couple of other areas in the outskirts and outlying areas that are pretty interesting to say the least. But this particular area, during the day, there are more tourist companies there, there are more police present, so the chance of something happening is slim or more slim. But at night, this is an area that has just become more problematic, and this is by the police and what they've stated in their records and what they've stated on television and what you can read in newspapers as far as police activity. So please be aware. During the day, you're going to go to these places. Tram 28, you got to do. If you're in Lisbon, the São Jorge Castle is close by too. You're going to probably see that. Rosso Square, there's some really cool places to eat there, and it's a great place to people watch and just watch the traffic. So it's a high impact area and highly visited area, which makes it an area for criminal activity anywhere in the world when you have high tourist. But at night, things are getting a little more sketchy, where I wouldn't necessarily be walking the streets here when the sun goes down. And it's something that I wouldn't have necessarily said. I've made a video, one of my first videos was about a bad area in Lisbon, which is in Moniz, but a little bit north and a little bit east of this area, where there is drug activity, prostitution, and I've had friends that have lived on streets where prostitution's going on the street in front of you, and still going on. But this particular area has become more problematic, and the reason why is because there's so many tourists going to a few great attractions that it's also attracting a criminal element, and it's just kind of unwanted. So I want to make sure that you are aware, if you're going to be traveling to Lisbon and you're going to be entering this area, eyes wide open, be cautious. Purses on a sling, not on your just one shoulder. Guys, have your wallet and have your phones in the front pockets. It's very important to just be alert and always be looking around in this particular area of Lisbon. As always, thank you so much for taking the time to watch, and enjoy your travels.